the emperor befriends him. She's mentioned as receiving from Nero a wealth and estates worthy of a king. To be a friend of the emperor, I mean, it's like being a friend of the American president. It affords you great privileges. It probably means you're going to live a good life. Speculus is a wealthy man with his own grand villa, and he's probably actually enjoying something of the life of the wealthy elite. The Romans is very old. There's a gladiator who is one of the lowest of the low, is able to live
on a different phone.
luxury.
Maybe it'll
There's
work
a
now.
certain fascinating quality about them. They admire, they adore the gladiator. But the gladiator himself is seen as a hero of scorn. He's part of a group of very low social status known as infami. Infamia is a legal punishment that lowers your status, and it's applied to all people who work in what elite Romans see as being unacceptable.
I've heard he sends me reels on Instagram. J Sharp does. He's alright. Do you have his? Do you have an Instagram? Make an Instagram.
Who is worthy of having full rights of citizenship.
You are seen as one of the lowest members of society, but this is the person that Nero is rewarding.
Nero increasingly goes off message, and he gets used to the power that he has as emperor, and he wants to take advantage of it.
As the scale of Nero's gains grows ever more extravagant, concern among the Senate is mounting that the emperor is getting carried away.
We have sea battles where they build roads, especially with the shipping, so that they can really
Christ.
These were individualized, highly specialized events, and you can add specialized combat fighters who would have been trained for the specifics or perspective they would have been part of.
They would also put on stage shows, and of course the regular favourite, chariot racing.
Chariot racing is certainly something that seems to predate gladiatorial combat, and it is an extremely popular spectacle to go and see.
Goon fire.
Away from the arena, Nero's behavior turns even darker.
What do you think
Behind
about
palace
the goon
walls,
fire?
he starts ignoring his job as emperor, choosing instead to indulge his own whims.
So Nero loved performing. He becomes more interested in performance and more interested in extravagance.
Happy
Nero sees himself
St.
as some
Patrick's
kind of
Day.
creative genius, I think. He plays the lyre famously. He appears on stage, which
What?
is unheard of for an emperor to do.
Which really put him in the realm of the actor, the musician, the gladiator. And this was quite an odd position for an emperor to
Go.
be in.
I don't want this.
As an emperor, as someone who is supposed to have an administrative responsibility over the empire, and someone who is supposed to conduct business in a particular
Go in the other
way,
room.
it's certainly not
No,
ideal.
I opened it. It's open.
Getting far too much money
Look.
that the state can really afford to
No.
these kinds of things, and individuals as well. So he rewards
falling
theatre
apart on me.
actors, he gives citizenship on the basis of their performance at his games, and he gives far too much money or land to people who don't deserve it. And Spiculus is one of the examples of that. A gladiator that Nero is particularly fond of and is given these huge rewards for doing his job well or for being noticed by Nero.
Nero's behavior disturbs the Roman Senate, who can challenge his authority if he goes too far. Yet despite growing unease, Nero presses on, and in 57 CE, he constructs a grand wooden amphitheater to throw even more extravagant spectacles.
Well,
Nero wanted something that was a slightly bigger scale.
how's things?
He tried to make it
Empty.
the amphitheater par excellence in Rome. In fact, he suppressed local amphitheaters and made
ensure that the highest quality fighting took place in Rome.
A year later, the amphitheater is complete. Nero hosts lavish games with his prized fighter, Spiculus, at the center. The crowds roar with excitement, but will the loyalty of the people be enough to hold the Senate at bay?
Is my chat just frozen on this one too?
Nero throws games at his new amphitheater. Crowds gather,
Yep.
anticipating a day of
Jeez,
thrilling
dude. I have all these chats. It's not showing me any of them. What a Bruce
Selling all sorts of wares from food
Rattlers.
and different souvenirs that have either gladiator statues, gladiator
Smoky
statuettes,
or
gladiator lamps.
I'll rattle can your mom if she's not nice to me.
The kind of thing you would expect to see during entertainment spectacle today.
I'm kneeling.
These games captivate all of Rome. Rich and poor flock to the amphitheater, swept up in the spectacle.
Looking into the arena, you know that sound the way it hits you like a wave.
You were seated in the amphitheater according to your social status. The senators had the best seats up front. The equestrian class had the next several rows around the arena. And then the rest of the amphitheater, the people were divided up into various groups.
The emperor
I guess I can look at it on this screen. Huh?
he probably had a nice little canopy over his head so that he wouldn't get sunstroke.
The games start with procession.
My wigger. I see your chat now. What up, Guns Anonymous?
Giving everyone a chance to sort of see the great fighters that they're going to
Who the
enjoy
fuck is
later.
Charles Hampty?
This is your chance to sort of interact, if you like, with your favorites.
D-Dog's here. What up, man?
Everybody comes
I didn't know
out
any of you guys
in
were
the
here.
dress that they're going to wear later
Freaking
on.
YouTube
Does
trying to keep me down,
parade
bro.
around,
Now let me see the
and
comments.
then you can start to feel the vibe.
You
building.
believe that?
There's every indication that it helped create a bond between the fans and the stars.
Gladiators are the sport stars of their day. They would be recognised whenever they appeared in public. They had their own fans. They would put up graffiti where they would record their victories. They would buy models of them.
We have a range of different types of fine glassware from France, which depicts Spiculus alongside a series of famous gladiators.
Gladiators are the sexiest men in the whole empire. They're probably the most desired men sexually. There's no one else who elicits the kind of sexual frenzy that the gladiators do. They're symbols of the best that manhood could attain.
Even though they were of low repute, they were thought to embody things like virtue, courage, masculinity, fearlessness, all things that Rome was meant to celebrate.
The procession ends, and the gladiators retreat backstage. The crowd roars with excitement. Music swells, ushering in the next act of Nero's grand event.
With Spiculus being such a famous gladiator, you probably would have had other displays of combat coming on before Spiculus. You would probably start off in the morning with something like a beast hunt or a combat with wild beasts. And then once you get to around noon, that's when you see the executions happening. So that might be people who are criminals who've been sentenced to die, for example, by wild beasts. And then in the afternoon, in that prime time slot, that is when you would see the gladiators.
The progression is you start with the lesser known guys and you're basically slowly building up to the title fight. Everybody wants to see Spiculus. That's going to be the closing fight of the games.
The Plus, the gladiators have fought. Their
Did
combat
so
flew
many
over, and
reloading
eventually
lives last
Spiculus
week.
will appear as the highlight of the show.
I did see the boxing like highlights. I didn't watch it when it was going on. D-Dog.
He would have had his own masseuse, his own servants, his own doctor. He would have had people who carried his armor.
Living for Nero, the most theatrical of all Roman emperors, the armor and equipment would have been similarly poor.
At his level, he's going to have a choice about what he wears. Not every gladiator gets those opportunities.
That fight was freaking ridiculous.
Spiculus as a Mamillo had a very high quality version of Mamillo armor. Perhaps a particularly iconic shield or helmet that marked him out from others of that type of gladiator class.
It's a Tapco stock. I don't think they make it anymore.
Ready for his contest, Spiculus
But when they
surprised
come out with that
Nero
SKS
like a
FRT, I'm
prize
about to
boxer.
freaking put one of those, slap one of those bad boys in this,
People's champion.
in that
Spiculus.
thingy.
Now as he walked, it would have been music to his actual entrance.
And then I'll have to get like a drum mag for it. Whoa, you see how fast this full auto SKS, look up full auto SKS and see how fast those things shoot. They shoot fast as hell.
Somebody like Spiculus is really going to lean in to the things that people know about him. They know he lives in an amazing house.
And you gotta drink broth like your mom says, because you're sick.
He's not going to
It's almost done. Go talk to your mom.
Spiculus, of course, has a lot right fight.
Give me a high five.
As well, because his job is to provide entertainment for the people.
After a long day of fighting at Nero's games, it is time for the main attraction. Spiculus and his opponent emerge. His rival is matched in strength and trained to kill. But for Spiculus, this is more
Yeah,
than a fight
FRT for
survival.
SKS is
It's a
actually in
battle to
development.
remain Nero's favorite. With the gladiators in the arena,
It's not
the
out
fight
yet,
can
but
start.
hopefully it's being made by Texas Triggers.
Spiculus would have been trying to parry with his opponent. He would have been trying to dazzle the crowd with his moves. We have references in our sources to gladiators being trained to deliver moves with grace. It's like
Hell yeah, SKSs are dope, dude. Full auto SKS is even cooler.
demonstrate the height of their skill level in front of a live audience.
There's one that's like really close to that stock, Aaron. But they don't make that exact one anymore. Where was my wife from? My wife's from fucking Redondo Beach, dude. She's a white girl.
Spiculus
White girl
shows
summer.
again why he's Nero's prized gladiator. He is a skilled and brilliant fighter. In the arena, few can touch him.
If a gladiator were rooted in the fight, he could signal submission by just holding up a finger. And then the referee steps in and stops him.
Goes the Wi-Fi tripping out again.
The point separates the two gladiators.
This is all Guns Anonymous. It's fault.
Spiculus has won. He's overcome his opponent. His opponent has asked for mercy. At that point, it's up to Nero, the giver of the games, to
The
consult
giver
the
of the
people and
games.
decide what happens to that gladiator.
That was my gay porn name.
He holds your life in his hands. All he has to do is murder them.
Nero may look around to the crowd and try and figure out what it is they want him to do.
It is your fault, Guns
The
Anonymous.
crowd
can directly communicate with powerful people in their society, including people like the Emperor.
I'm gonna run out of projectiles fairly soon.
Let him go or kill him.
I lived overseas with her for like almost 6 years.
Phyllis's defeated opponent to be killed.
But we were already married. We got married in California.
And Nero gives it to him.
You can imagine there'll be a deathly quiet descend on the arena.
She
as everyone's
is
focused
super
on this
white.
sort of
That's how I like him.
This moment of death, this poor fallen gladiator.
Indeed.
If he had a helmet, he was expected to
See many of my kids,
so that
they're like
everyone
fucking
could see all of the emotion on his face.
blonde and blue eyes. They're whiter than I
The
am. Dude.
gladiator has been taught how to face death. They were expected to expose their throat, to stare ahead blankly, to show no emotion, to be tough right until the final moment.
By Doc Weiler.
Would plunge his sword
Yep.
downward through the throat. and
I
into
know
the
what you're
heart.
talking about.
When a gladiator appears to have died in a
I like freckled gingers, to be honest.
Charon, god of the underworld, comes on and actually checks that he's dead.
Charon,
Freckled gingers.
his body was dragged out with a hook, dragged out of the arena.
Asian girls, white girls, black girls,
The victory strengthens Nero's
Latinos. I like them all.
The
Not gonna lie.
Emperor is eager to show his gratitude.
There's no real. I don't have any like. No, I don't like those ones. I could maybe think of a few, maybe.
And then he'll
Few,
leave.
dude, there's some Arabs that are alright looking, but
The games have
it would
dazzled
be
the crowds.
the tiny hats and the Indians.
Designed to capture the hearts of the people.
There is some good looking Indian chicks, but I just feel like, imagine what your kids look like. They look like the Slumdog Millionaire kids. Like,
But also to be seen as the person
Forget it.
who gives it to them.
Forget about it.
Is a gift giver.
What's up, little girl?
One of the things the emperor would do for the crowd
What are you doing?
is known as a spartio. He'd actually throw out a lottery
God, I don't know why
and on
you're
it you
yelling at me.
given anything from perhaps some
From the
slaves
other
to
one.
some furniture or even a villa. So it was a way that you
Don't
could
do that.
twit.
Leave that alone. Put that back.
The people have enjoyed the games. They appreciate the hero for having given them a day
What?
of entertainment. And they return home to their families. They return to the pubs. Even though Nero's games have inspired the people, caused people to fall in love with Nero, his style will soon is down.
Reading you guys' comments.
While the
It's
crowds
funny.
revel in Nero's games, the Senate sees it
Fancy the
differently.
gangbangers. It's fucking too funny.
Nero is distracted by spectacle, neglecting the
No, 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 no. Don't do that. Don't do that with the freaking powder. No, stop. It's not a toy. It's a tool. No, you don't need to put your hands in it. Stop. It's got lead in it anyways. You need to go wash your hands.
In 64
It's poison.
CE,
Go.
a big event happens in Rome that really has helped to shape the way we understand
look.
Nero's Rome.
Just look over and she's got my like colander thing and she's
And that's
just
the
putting
fire.
the
So in the summer months, Rome does catch on fire a fair amount, but this is huge. Our sources say a number of the districts in Rome are affected and some are destroyed completely.
And burned down a big portion of Rome's most prestigious neighborhood, the Palatine, and also a big chunk of Nero's own imperial palace.
Out of Rome's 14 districts, 10 are quite badly affected and 3 are completely destroyed.
This is a huge conflagration. It destroys a massive chunk of the city. Lots of people died in this fire.
The number of dwellings, small businesses, temples that must have been destroyed. You can imagine the devastation this would have caused.
It displaced tens of thousands.
It's something that really kind of stands as a point in Nero's reign that is extremely significant both politically but also in terms of sort of his relationship with the city.
So many people must have suffered so extremely, and this generated huge resentment of the safety and luxury within which the emperor was operating.
When the fire breaks out, Nero is not in Rome, he's in Antium. Perhaps the best known phrase associated with Nero is that he fiddled while Rome burned. This is anachronistic in some ways because the fiddle wasn't invented, but even playing the lyre while Rome burned is something that our sources are a little bit split on.
And Nero realises that with almost all of Rome burned to nothing, he can start again and he can build a huge palace that's far bigger than anyone else has done before.
This is the Domus Aurea, which is named the Golden House for the amount of beautiful gold and other precious materials that are used in it.
The Domus Aurea, as impressive as it must have been, it surely caused a revulsion feeling.
At a time when so many of the citizens have been made homeless because of the fire, he is there building himself this enormous great palace.
Honestly, I don't imagine people all too terribly impressed with the building of a giant villa in the aftermath of a destructive fire.
It was clear to pretty much everyone, especially Rome's Senate, that he was really losing his grip.
The rumour starts, well, he's taking such advantage of it, it must be because he started the fire so that he could do this.
A lot of our sources do say that it's his agents who set the fire, not him personally. Obviously, that would be crazy. However, Nero's actions afterwards, he does seem to be really concerned, and he does instantly set about trying to help as many people as possible.
It seems like Nero was trying to rebuild the city
Super glue
after the
and
fire
cat
in a way
piss
that
is my favorite
time would
afternoon
then have been
snack.
less likely.
As Rome begins to rebuild, Nero chases pleasure and indulges in his personal amusements.
Nero's popularity is certainly taking a hit. He's not the kind of man that most Romans would respect as their emperor. And it's partly because of his over-the-top interest in things like chariot races, gladiator fights, the theatre. They're not the kind of pursuits that you really want your emperor to have. You want him to be more focusing on military conquest, for example, and what is happening politically.
He's too close to the people. He's not sort of paying
100-degree match.
It's 70.
It's not that bad.
And that's the point where
I shot lots of matches in 100 degrees. Don't be a vagina.
With the Senate's condemnation, Nero's grip on power crumbles. And showing loyalty to the fallen emperor is dangerous, conspicuous. Nero, the most powerful man in Rome, has been denounced by the Senate. He is unable to contain the storm around him.
Nero realises that the game is up.
once Nero has been declared a public enemy, the options for him are very limited. All he has left is a few loyal attendants. As he hears that the
JP,
Praetorians
how
are
you
on their
been,
way
man?
to kill him, and he realises once he's been declared a public enemy that the justice, particularly
Silk,
people
wooden
beaten and flogged and
underwear.
dragged through the
Silk
city.
and wooden.
He realises that really the only option is for him to take his own life.
There are so many instances of Romans, in defense of their honor, committing suicide. And committing suicide with a sword, falling on their sword, or stabbing.
But he's too scared to kill himself. himself. So he calls on Spiculus to do it for him.
The fact that Nero wanted to be killed by Spiculus, his favourite gladiator, could suggest that he wanted to die quickly and well.
Perhaps there's also that sort of case of notoriety where the Emperor of Rome was killed by the most famous gladiator of the arena.
He needs to know someone he can trust, I think. So here's someone that he can trust to do the job as efficiently as possible.
Spiculus, though, can't be found. Whether he was sort of deliberately keeping out of harm's way, or whether he really just abandoned Nero like everyone else, we don't know.
Spiculus, his prized gladiator, is missing. Nero turns to another member of his inner circle.
He leans on and relies on.
What up, compliant?
Epaphroditus.
What's crack-a-lacking?
Then, with Epaphroditus, Nero commits suicide.
Nero is only 30 years old. His death ends a 14-year reign marked by self-indulgence and spectacle.
When Nero dies, there's very much a mixed reaction to his death. Some of the individuals who partook in the entertainments mourn Nero's death.
When Nero dies, he is given a public funeral. The ordinary people of Rome, they were there at his graveside. They didn't see this as a good thing that the senators thought.
After Nero's death, there's a clear out, if you like, of Nero's supporters. And Spiculus has been too close to Nero. And it's reported that he's actually crushed.
That's not good. Everything's going expensive. Everything was going down for a little while, but then Trump had to freaking get blackmailed
Nero's reign of
by Netanyahu again.
about the excesses.
I heard they freaking
He's also
that guy kicked the can, and they're putting out AI videos.
absolutely terrible emperor.
That's what I heard.
He's the last of the Julio-Claudians. And this makes him the last of the first dynasty of emperors in Rome. When he dies, there is no heir. He has had children, but they haven't survived.
So after Nero's death, we have the year of the emperors in which individuals rise to claim the mantle of emperor, until ultimately we're left with Vespasian, the last man standing, who will initiate the Flavian dynasty.
That dynasty, and Vespasian in particular, decides what he's going to do is separate himself in every way that he can from Nero.
Vespasian, the new emperor, is determined to erase all traces of Nero's legacy.
At Turner's,
With the opulent
that's
palace
super gay.
built as a monument to Nero's ego.
So now you have to like restart the whole process again.
Nero's Golden Palace becomes a symbol of everything that's wrong with his reign. It's excessive, it's overly focused on Nero himself. Vespasian wants to wipe the slate clean and build something that is a people's palace, not just a palace for a single emperor.
Vespasian takes the opportunity to demolish large parts of the Domus Aurea. And on the site, part of it, he starts to construct the Flavian amphitheater.
It was
Oh, you gotta go tomorrow.
a powerful way. You could say that we're under a new regime of the dynasty.
Vespasian decides to build Rome's first large-scale permanent amphitheatre on the site of
Yep,
Nero's
I
gardens.
feel you. Turner's is super
And
gay.
that is the amphitheatre that we now know as the Colosseum.
I did not see any videos of that guns. Send them to me. I haven't checked all the shit that you sent me today. Been too busy. I had to watch these two brats all fucking day.
Emperor Trajan celebrates an extended series of games.
When Trajan succeeds the Roman Empire, Rome is at its greatest. It's vast, it's accessible, it's rich, and Trajan really personifies that, the energy, the success, and the sophistication of his extraordinary system.
Under his leadership, the Roman Empire reaches its greatest territorial extent, 2 million square miles.
Stretching from Britannia in the west to Syria in the east. The 50 million subjects of Rome believe in a wide array of different religions and gods. But one underground spiritual movement in particular is gaining momentum.
The number of Christians is growing, and what started as a very small movement based around Jerusalem has now spread across the empire.
Dear Lord, protect our brother Ignatius from those who would do evil to him.
Christians, when they see a few of their high priests eaten by lions, they'll turn to our gods.
The Romans see Christianity as a threat because of its promise to undermine Roman conceptions of how power and authority were supposed to be ruled.
A prominent Christian leader is brought to Rome to be killed, most likely in the city's amphitheater.
Ignatius of Antioch, he is clearly the target of Trajan's anger because he is arrested, brought to Rome to be executed.
It's ready to
by
get
the
clean.
Alliance, probably in the
What up, radio?
If these people show disrespect to the emperor and the Roman state, that's sedition, and for that they should be killed.
I got my shotgun loaded up for tomorrow. I'm gonna
Those
use
who
it.
witnessed them. The fate of Christians who
Training day.
persisted in their
Training
belief
day.
was a capital offense. It was a death penalty.
I should put out a cool video about the safe that I got
There
sent.
will be no ordinary execution.
Shoot it. I'm gonna review it for him
Ignatius
by
is
shooting it.
convinced that he's going to die
Shooting the
violently.
shit out of it.
And this is okay with him because Ignatius wants to follow the model of Christ. Ignatius is willing to do this, to die, just like Jesus, to be martyred. While Ignatius is on his way to Rome, he's able to write 7 letters.
What is up,
And it's because
Jose?
of these letters that we know
All the way
who he
from
is.
These
Argentina,
are first-person
right?
accounts of what's happened to him, how he feels about it, why he thinks it matters or might make a difference.
Cool thing, radio.
The cheers of the crowd above.
I need to get my CZSP01 milled out, but it's kind of turning into a hassle. Jesus Christ.
There would have been hundreds, if not 1,000 people, along with all of these
Okay, I'll
animals
make a
crammed
bottle.
together.
All right. You said that you're gonna make it.
You can imagine what this would have been like for Ignatius.
Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil.
He's got to ask himself, is he going to die with grace? Or is he going to end up some grisly carcass on the Colosseum floor?
Citizens of Rome, marvel at the worst criminals as they experience the true power of empire.
The Roman judicial system was classical. If you were very, very high standards, you would be allowed to do it in some way that was quick and easy and relatively painless. If, however, you were of lower class or you were a slave, then you were going to be killed fairly brutally. So we have the expression in English, being thrown to the lions.
Lord
Yes,
have
it's sort of
mercy, what am I
metaphorically,
gonna do with that
But
woman?
it was very literal in the Roman Empire. People actually were thrown to the lions.
Christians. When they see a few of their high priests eaten by lions, they'll turn to our gods.
So we have Ignatius's own words because of his letters, and they can really help us to get into his mind.
Guns will sub back to you. Unless you're friends with the Jews. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, but really.
The cross. The hordes of wild beasts.
The whole phenomenon of
Facts.
martyrdom is absolutely massive in the Roman mind. You cannot understand it. This is, you cannot understand
Ipso
the
facto.
joy you see in the faces of the martyrs in the amphitheaters.
Ipso facto.
Tortures of the devil.
He's saying things like he wants to be torn apart by the wild beasts. He wants to be ground like bread between the teeth of the lions. The language in it is extraordinarily strong and severe. Real sense of wanting to die, wanting to suffer.
The wrenching of my bones. The dicing of my limbs.
He knows that dying as a martyr is actually going to do far more in spreading the gospel than just standing there and preaching. And so when they see this martyr just stand there and die gracefully, willingly, they're gonna
Well,
ask,
well, well.
what does he believe?
Look
And when
who
they
decided
find
to
out,
come
oh man, Christianity
over
is
to
going
my
against
life. Mr. Rockstar himself. Old bushy mustache porno man, J-Dog. How does it hang? Hear ye, hear ye.
The Romans planned to make an example of the nations. This was about to completely backfire.
Good old-fashioned pork off. An Irish favorite.
There are great stories of Christians being thrown before the beast, before the lions, and instead of the lions devouring them, the lions lie down at their feet. Who doesn't like that idea of a lion who's supposed to tear you apart instead rolling over to get a belly rub instead of eating you?
They are mad at you, J-Dog. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to monetize yourself off of your friends, and they don't like that. They like me, somebody who makes nothing. I'm the real one.
In the 1st century AD, Rome is the biggest city on earth, with a population of more than 1 million people. Now, after 8 years of construction, the largest amphitheater in the ancient world has just opened. The Colosseum in Rome is one of the most iconic structures in the history of humanity. The new emperor, Titus, is a war hero who inherited the throne less than a
What
year
do they
ago.
call that?
The empire he now commands began with Rome's founding as a powerful city-state in 753 BC. It conquers the Italian peninsula, then ancient Greece,
Working
the
and
seafarers
shopping.
of Carthage, the
White
pharaohs of
orange
Egypt,
twerks, it
and by
slaps
80
the
AD,
floor twice.
most of Western Europe.
It's like
To mark
the
Colosseum's
ocean.
opening, Titus lines up a fight
So
to the
much
death
meat.
between two of the empire's best-known gladiators, Rome's champion Varus
Dude, I remember when I
and the
was like
barbarian Priscus.
in like middle school, and like it was like before the internet,
They're the prime
and I would just beat off to the
And
rapper
at this specific
videos.
moment, you could say that they are the heavyweight champions of the Roman Empire.
What we know about the fight comes to us from just one source, but it's a really important source.
That
It's
one
the
song. I
Roman
just
poet
remember that one
Martial,
song.
who was a spectator at the games. He actually saw this fight and saw how it played out.
Martial's poem is the only surviving account of its kind. The fight he records captures some of the contradictions of Rome. Its combatants are celebrated, but they are also enslaved.
Can you imagine if you are a gladiator from Germany?
Beowulf
and you look at the
AR
imperial box, there is
would
Rome's
blow
emperor
all
in the flesh with the
damn
power of life and
guns
death
away.
over you. Well, that must have been an overwhelming experience.
If the cops ever
The
came
emperor's
back to me.
presence
I'm gonna
in the
go
imperial
out
box
on a
was
limb,
absolutely key. The
and I'm
emperor
gonna
was the
say
only one, and
you
everyone
are a
was
melanated person.
The
Is that
games are
true,
all about
Infinity,
Roman
or am I
giving the
full of
people
shit?
what they need, and it's always described as bread and circuses. They had to feed the people of Rome, but once they were fed, they had to be entertained.
Let the games begin!
The schedule is an astonishing
No.
festival of death.
Touching
The standard
guns
sequence of
on
events
live
was as
is
follows. In the
against the
morning is when you have
rules,
the
but
Venantiones, the beast
fuck
combats.
them, dude, and their damn rules. And they fucking don't even follow their own rules. I get strikes for
This is when the
bullshit.
executions of criminals condemned to death took place in ways that were memorable. And in the afternoon is when you have the paired combats, the gladiators, the ones that entertained most of the
At this point,
When we are out there, you are not my friend. You are not my brother. You are my enemy.
There are
and
huge
that's why
stakes
Instagram is
for
better.
Priscus and Varus. The pressure must have been incredible.
Instagram
They
you
are
can
the
touch
headlining
without
fight. And they will walk into that arena
any
knowing
bullshit.
that one of them may not walk out of their life.
Gladiators enter the arena with the force
If you
of
say
the
Israel, that's
life.
the right.
If victorious, they lead the
Oh
same
my
way.
god!
If
I want my
defeated,
$7,000
they
at
exit
least.
through the Porta Libitina, the gate
Don't
of
they
death.
like send you $7,000 or
A
$9,000?
wooden staff given as a trophy, which symbolizes his
Be
freedom.
like, they got him. They got ammo.
So the stakes couldn't be higher. It's death or freedom.
I can't remember if I put powder in that one.
Imagine having a huge metal pot essentially on your head. You can't breathe. Your eyesight's
This
limited.
is how many
Lifting a heavy shield.
bullets I have
40 pounds of
that
armor.
are just random. There's a ton in here. Maybe I should just take these tomorrow. I wish I had I should just bring a 9-year-old I don't care about. I don't know.
The noise of the crowd, the heat, the heart pumping. And remember, you're fighting for your life on top of that. It's going to take nerves of steel. But if you fight bravely enough and the Emperor graces
No
you,
kidding.
it's the
Gas
chance
was
of being
cheap
free
for
and
like
becoming
5
a
minutes.
citizen, becoming
And
someone
so we're
normal.
like copper and stuff, and now we're just like, let's just do what Israel wants us to do and attack Iran. Dude, in the last like year, not even like 6 months, Trump is like just fucking done some dumbass shit, dude. He's always an idiot, but the last couple things he did was fucking dumb. And it's just obvious he's doing what Israel wants him to do. And that was the last you heard of. Hey, I told you not to do that. Don't put your hands in there.
Why?
Because it's dirty.
Was dead on his feet, but Caesar was bound by the letter of his
Yeah,
own
go
law.
wash your hands.
The rules
Yeah.
were clear. There had to be a winner, and only a raised
She's
finger
putting her
could
freaking
stop the battle.
hands in there.
If a gladiator is wounded, if he's down on the sands, he can lift his finger and ask for
Dude,
Missio.
it's gonna take more than a PCC upper for me to sell out. Dude, have you seen those one videos of like, it's like Bibi Netanyahu is my sleep paralysis demon?
What Marshall
Shit was
says is
fucking
that
so
they
funny,
both
dude.
submitted. And the
I
crowd
think
don't
that's
know what to
Strategic
make.
Haley. That dude's pretty funny.
One star. One winner.
It's like, hello, this is Bibi. I need you to die for Israel.
The outcome of the games is
It's the
ultimately
only way.
decided by the emperor, but he's
We
the
love
ultimate
Christians.
authority. It's very rare that the emperor's going to go against the people because he does not want to be involved.
Cuba's next, I guess.
And the crowd, you can imagine, going wild. Some of them will have been cheering for Christmas, some cheering for Paris. What's the emperor going to do? He might say, well, you both submitted, you should both die.
Ultimately, Titus is going to have to make a
Ooh,
decision.
Jerome
But
is
he
on.
cannot go against his
See
word.
Jerome.
There is only one stop.
God damn, my wife just does not stop. Jump!
There can only be one winner.
It is like impossible for me to be in here by myself.
Titus is literally holding their life and death in his hands.
To you both. Champions of Rome!
Titus ultimately doesn't designate one the winner and one the loser. Both were the victors. Victors, in this case, over death.
Titus is stealing the limelight, but he's showing that he is ultimately in charge of life and death over everybody. And if you fight well, if you serve him well, if you're loyal to the emperor, then you will be rewarded.
Titus has used his political instincts to turn a potential embarrassment into a triumph.
It's a culmination of power, of control, of distraction. It's everything really the Colosseum stood for. Imagine what it must feel like for Priscus and theirs. The overwhelming relief, pride, joy, and they will have been conscious that they're going to be remembered forever. And here we are still talking about them.
By 192 AD, the Colosseum is over a century old. Emperor Commodus has a surprise. He's the headline bout, fighting as a gladiator.
Gladiators were at the lowest stratum of free Romans. They had no legal personality. They were in the same category as prostitutes and pimps. So for a Roman emperor to try to leverage the popularity of gladiators by becoming one is a shock.
For Commodus, the Colosseum would become an obsession, a place that would play a pivotal role in his rise and fall.
After inheriting a vast and powerful empire from his father, the great Marcus Aurelius, Commodus is at odds with the ruling class of Rome, the Senate.
The Senate has remained the most powerful body of people, the very embodiment of the elite of Rome. The Senate would always be the rallying place of opposition.
The Roman elite was ashamed of Commodus's actions. They felt that to fight as a gladiator was to willingly debase himself. This was the tipping point in an already fractured relationship between the two most powerful forces in Rome, the emperor and the Senate. Every one of these senatorial families has holdings all over the Roman Empire. They're the equivalent of small multinational corporations. They are wealthy in a way that is impossible for us to understand. So even if the heart of political power has moved elsewhere, these are still tremendously important people. And so the Senate is dangerous.
Several emperors had previously been destroyed by their enemies in the Senate, including the notorious leaders Caligula, Nero, and Domitian.
The history of Rome's emperor shows that it's pretty dangerous to cross the Senate. But Commodus had a plan, and it really was to ignore the Senate and to...
It doesn't show the comments are like tripping.
Commodus has an incredible tool at
I
his disposal.
did tell her
He
to
has the games.
make me a sandwich.
Less than a year into his reign,
Pain in my
Commodus
ass.
throws lavish games
Woman.
to celebrate the end of his father's barbarian years.
Because it was such an important event, the imperial family, such as his sister Lucilla, would be there. And of course the Senate themselves, so they would have been witness to this event. For the Senate, they understand that this is an absolute joke. Tribal games were put on at the end of great wars fought for many years. Wars that established the power of Rome. This was the opposite of that, and yet here he was parading himself as some sort of triumphant general.
But it's not the Senate Commodus is trying to impress.
Emperors could communicate with the people in the Colosseum. In those days, you didn't see the emperor very much, except in triumphs after great abroad, and in the Colosseum, where he appeared in his box. And the crowd had a chance to express what they thought of him too.
The Colosseum fostered an active, dynamic relationship between the people and the emperor. One can imagine
My house is
thousands
haunted.
of people chanting what they want, encouraging the emperor in what he's doing, in sponsoring and generous, and putting on a show for them.
It was kind of like a contract. I am giving these games to you. You need to honor me.
It's extraordinary for an emperor to take to the sands himself. This is not something that's expected of elites, let alone the emperor. Gladiators use their bodies to please the masses. So they are like prostitutes. They are like actors.
Gladiators are like prostitutes.
It would have been hard for the ruling class to accept any of Commodus's actions. They were cultured people, they were educated people. And so the fact that one of them would degrade himself to that degree that he's going to present himself in the same
Just shooting and the ground just starts exploding. It'd be nuts. It'd be like
According to
Do they
Cassius
charge
the Big,
extra for that?
Commodus charges the bankrupt Roman treasury.
If I pay
1
extra,
million
can I get
sesterces
a
for
little
his
bit of
appearance.
exploding ground?
Almost $10 million in today's money.
After the games, Commodus embarks on a still grander project. He intends to rebuild Rome with himself at the center.
He renames Rome Colonia Commodiana, the colony of Commodus. And we wouldn't believe that this was true if were not for the fact the coins of Commodus's era show that this was the case. He really did name it after himself.
Commodus goes into overdrive. The Romans are going to be called Commodiani. The Senate is going to be called the Fortunate Commodiani Senate. He fills the city with statues of himself, dressed as the god Hercules.
One was a giant figure of an archer, looking very much like the emperor himself, with a arrow aimed right at the front door of the Roman Senate. And if there was ever a louder political message, well, I'm not aware of it.
That could not be tolerated, even by Commodus's world-weary contemporaries.
When Commodus announces yet another games with himself as the star, the Senate know they must act.
Commodus meets his end at the hands of his gladiatorial trainer, the hands of Narcissus, acting on the orders of the Senate.
There's a sort of poetic irony that in the end it was the very figure that he so admired, so wanted to be, that put an end to his life.
AD, the opening day of a new series of games that the Emperor Domitian promises will be dazzling.